Trooper Cody and Steve, and we're about to start filming a few light horse videos for the channel. And what you might see here is it's not Trooper Cody, it's Trooper Wild Bill. And Wild Bill's standing in for Trooper Cody, who's over there having a bit of a break before he gets his uniform on and gets kitted up to make the video. But what we're going to do here, Wild Bill and I, we're going to tell you a story about two Irishmen. And you know, people are always telling terrible stories about the Irish and making fun of the Irish. So this is why I want to tell you this story. I was recently contacted by a bloke who's very, very proud of his Irish history. Born in America, family born in America, but his roots are in Ireland. And it reminded me of this good story. So what happened is, there's these two Irish guys live in a poor part of Ireland, and they have been mates, neighbours, since before school. When they went to school, they stayed good friends. When they left school, they stayed good friends. They are decent blokes who, not overly bright, if I'm not being rude, so they couldn't get fancy jobs, but they always worked hard. When they were both coming up for their 30th birthday, a miracle happened. They won the English lottery, and they won £50 million sterling. And this is why this is a good story, because what happened is they were not going to squander or waste this money. Straight from the beginning, they got good financial advisors and good accountants, and they set up several businesses that were for their family and for their neighbours and for their community. But they did it with good outside advice, and they started making good money on top of what they'd won. So at the end of the first year, their financial advisor says to them that they have made such a good income that they deserve some sort of reward. It shouldn't all be work, work, work. They're going to burn out. So he says to them, what if they got a dream or a fantasy, some holiday they've always wanted? So they turn to each other and they sort of laugh and they say, well, it's a bit silly, but we've always wanted to go to the Canadian wilds, hundreds of miles from anywhere, and we have wanted to hunt giant buck moose. And so the accountant says to them, well, it's unusual, but it's your dream, you should do it. So that's what they do. They go off on this dream, holiday, vacation, hunting, only a couple of weeks gone, hunting big game moose. They come back, they get back to work, and nothing changes. Everything's successful, business is successful, money making. So at the end of the following year, the accountant says to them, guys, you know, maybe you had that holiday last year, it went so well that it's helped you be so productive in the last 12 months, I think you should have another dream holiday. And they look at each other and they say, let's do it again. So they set off again to the wilds of Canadian wilderness to hunt giant buck moose. So the holiday's over, it's finished. They're in the middle of nowhere, no roads. The only way you can get there is a seaplane, lands on a lake, comes over to the bank, picks you up to take you home. When the seaplane lands, the pilot gets out, it's a different one to the year before. He comes up to them and he sees they have got 4 of these enormous moose with enormous antlers, huge antlers. And he looks at them and he says, guys, I can carry you and your equipment and 2 of these moose, but there's no way I can carry 4. And the guys, they get a little aggro and they say, we've paid you a fortune to come here. There is no expense spared to come here. We did this last year. We shot 4 last year. They put 4 on the plane last year that looks the same as yours. If you want us to pay the rest of what's owed, you are going to take these 4 moose, you're going to do what the guy did last year, you're going to strap the 4 of them between the floats under the fuselage. We're taking these 4 moose back with us as trophies. So very reluctantly, the pilot is desperate for money. Times are hard. So they work together. They strap the poor moose under the aircraft, and the pilot makes sure he's got the maximum run up off the longest run of the lake, slams the throttle open, and the seaplane starts racing across the lake. And the pilot is really looking worried because it's not feeling like it's going to lift off, and the edge is getting closer and it's closer. It's too late now. He can't shut the throttles down. He's going to crash. So he just has to wait to the very last minute. Pulls back on the stick. It just manages to lift off. It's struggling for the treetops, and as it struggles and struggles, and then it can't make it, and down it goes into the trees. Crashes into the trees. The wings rip off. Noise. Down it goes. Crashes into the undergrowth. Wasn't too high. Wasn't too fast. The trees, massive pines, they sort of absorb the shock. And as the wreckage settles, one Irishman looks at the other Irishman and he says, "Gosh and begorin, would you think we would crash in exactly the same place we did last year?" Thanks, Bill. You've been a champion. You're a real good boy. So here's the next star of the movies, eh? Cheers, coppers. Till next time.